So I've had the Losi out a few times, and it's a fun truck, super strong. Tires like to come unglued, and I've seen where some of the treads have actually blown out right in the middle. So that's not a good thing. But anyway, I'm going to take apart the rear axle of this truck, which takes a lot of abuse, and see what's inside. So to get the rear end out of this truck, I'm going to take the wheels and tires off. Take the link bolts out right there. Take the drive shaft loose right there. It takes a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. Take the top links loose, and at that point the rear end should just come right on out. For the link bolts, you just simply use a 4 millimeter wheel nut wrench and your 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. Comes right out. If you want to leave the links in place and pull the 4 bolts off that hold the bracket, you're probably going to have an issue getting your Allen wrench into that slot because of the 2 nuts. They just kind of get in the way. There's the complete rear end axle out from underneath the truck. Losi sends some 3-degree toe-in blocks for this, or toe-in adapters. So I'm going to actually put those on when I get this thing apart and show you guys how it's done. Brakes and wheel hexes are off. Now to get the wheel hexes off, there is a set screw in there that you have to loosen. That way you can push the pins out. It takes a 2 millimeter Allen wrench to get in there and get that set screw out and take things apart. Those are 2.5 millimeter to take your calipers and rotors off. So it's pretty simple so far. The rear stub axle. Okay, this is the rear stub axle. That's the rear stub axle assembly. It just simply slides out. Now Losi decided to not use a rubber sealed bearing here. I'm going to actually change these bearings out. Same way with the differential. I'm going to put a rubber seal bearing on that just to try to keep it somewhat together. So, and if all you're wanting to do is put on the 3-degree outers, you can actually see some angle right there. You don't even need to take the axle out of the truck. You can do it in the truck. Fairly simple. The screws that hold the outers on right there, they use a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. To remove the differential, just simply take out those big 4 screws there, and there's 2 more smaller screws on the left and to the right. The larger screws are 2.5 millimeter, the smaller screws are 2 millimeter. Okay, the screws are out. Let's see what we can do with this. And that's what's inside of this. Maybe a little bit of dirt. Not much though. Okay, do you see that little bump right there? That keeps you from putting this in backwards. Nice little feature. Nice design, really. Not bad. And Losi decided to use rubber sealed bearings on the diff. Why not on the outside where all the dust and stuff happens, Losi? Come on. But yeah. Oh, and just for the heck of it, there's the Losi diff. That's an X-Max diff. Let's see the size difference. So X-Max still has the larger diffs. So, yep. Still got to give it to X-Max for the large, insanely large diffs for the X-Max. So, or give it to Traxxas for that for the X-Max. Anyway, this is no joke. This is nice and beefy. I have no complaints at all. I'm going to clean this up, put a little Dynalube RC grease on it, clean out the housing, and reassemble because it's pretty darn nice. Got the gear, got the center diff cleaned up, got some Dynalube RC grease on it. I really like this stuff. I mean, I use it in just about everything. So, Got the pinion gear cleaned up. Got a rubber sealed bearing on the front now. So, and when I was cleaning this up, what looked like may have been a little bit of sand or grit, I don't think it was. It was just pretty much grease that had been thrown off the ring gear, which is, you know, I can't complain at all. I mean, there's another truck I have that had a lot of sand in there. I'm not going to mention the name, but if you follow my channel, you'll know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, I'm going to put this back together piece by piece with the 3-degree outers on it and get it back under the truck. So to reassemble your axle, it's pretty simple. Just reverse order everything you just did. Make sure you don't put a long bolt in a short hole because you'll have issues. Now, as far as these bearings I'm changing out, they're just a standard 1/8 scale style wheel bearing. They are 8 by 16 by 5. They're fairly cheap too. So pick you up some of those and go ahead and change out your bearings to that. Here's the dog bone, and to get that into the axle housing, there is a groove inside the housing up in that area right there, and you have to get it in there and align the drive cup by turning the pinion shaft. Not hard to do, just be a little bit patient and it'll go right in. When you're installing the 3-degree blocks, you're going to want the outer stub to look like this. And here's the front of the axle. And it don't matter whether you're looking at it from the top, like I'm looking at it here, or from the bottom. You want the tire to go inward into the middle of the chassis. So you want the tire look a little bit like that when looking at the body. The body being over to here, the back being that way. This helps the truck stay straight. And if you put these on and you notice they look like this, flip that thing around. It'll go either way. If you do it like that, you're going to end up with a lot of awesome donuts. And I would have to assume setting them up like this, 3 degrees in, 3 degrees out, would make for some awesome driving. I may actually have to try that. That actually looks like fun. Might rip some insane donuts. With the lower links removed, you can flip the axle all the way up like this and get to the top links. Nice, simple, and easy. So that's just the easiest way to get those top links off. If you try to go at it the other way, you'll be fighting with all that stuff in your way. So this is the easiest. If you happen to pull the drive shaft completely apart, these pieces, these splines, are actually keyed just enough to not allow the drive shaft to go back together smoothly and not be in phase. By in phase, if you look at this part right here versus that part, so long as they're in phase, you won't have much vibration at all. You shouldn't have any unless there's another problem. So if those are not in phase, you will have a vibration down here. And it's the same way with the real trucks too. While I'm reassembling this, I'm choosing to not put the rotors and calipers on since they're kind of useless. But inside the rotor there's a little spacer, little shim piece. That needs to go back on there so you have the proper, clearances for the hexes to fit. Just like that. Rear axle is in place. Not sure if you can see it. Maybe you can. You can see the 3 degrees. You can see how it's got the angle on it on both sides. And that's supposed to help keep this thing straight. Now granted, this has got the AVC on it from the factory. I'm not a fan of the Spectrum radio, so this now has a Futaba with an external gyro in it. So, and it's turned down for the most part. But anyway, that's what it looks like reassembled and back in the truck with the 3 degree blocks.